You're listening to the Rough and Tumble Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
By popular demand, we have the person that we don't speak of as our special guest this week.
So now you guys get to hear his voice.
Yep. We actually did get a demand that the person we don't speak of join us on the podcast. So welcome.
Well, you are welcome, and it's a pleasure to be here. And I'm not supposed to look directly into the camera, or is that okay?
That's fine. You can talk directly to the audience.
Oh, okay.
Did anybody, speaking of that, did anybody see the Instagram story for Westside where they went and started filming butts? And so the whole round, he wouldn't stop looking at the camera the whole time.
Oh,
It was the creepiest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, it got to the point where I think Amanda probably did the video, but she started realizing like what he was doing. And so the whole time, like, he's on bottom and side control and he won't stop looking at it. And then the guy takes his back and he's still staring at the camera. It was the creepiest thing ever.
I did notice that Bruno looked like he was being held captive and was like reading off his script for his commercial on Instagram. And I was like, somebody's holding that poor guy captive.
In his defense, it was probably at like 3 a.m. and Vitor had kept him up like all night long.
Yeah.
And so he's like, fuck it, I'll just record it now. Because it's the only time that I'm going to get any peace and quiet between Vitor staying awake.
So,
Why is your wife so gassy?
Oh, man.
You mean my ex-wife now?
My ex-wife now. Oh, jeez. I was going to try and be, like, actually subtle.
No, I was immediately going to do it in the beginning.
My wife is not gassy. She, oh, this is bad. She's never farted in her life, actually.
Not one time.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, not that you've gotten to hear.
Yeah. So this is the first and last time that we'll have you on the podcast.
And maybe see me. Ever.
Yeah, this is the end of the show, boys.
Yeah, make sure you save this footage.
Yeah.
It's you just became Bigfoot.
Yeah. What made you lower your standards for us?
You guys seemed a little bit desperate.
Mm-hmm.
And I thrive on people who are desperate.
Oh, yeah. I knew
So-
that about you.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
No, I'm just kidding. You guys are being really successful, and I just wanted a piece of that.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
I like the honesty.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to get on what we call the coattails.
Mhm.
So.
I'm looking for the rough and tumble bump.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we did get we haven't brought this up. We got our first official, unofficial cease and desist letter.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
gonna talk about it now.
We do need to talk about that.
Can you talk about that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's not an
It wasn't
official, like, it's not an official cease and desist letter because it didn't state that it was a cease and desist letter.
And I conferred with my attorney, and he had the best quote ever, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But we're doing nothing illegal, and he basically said, based on the way that the letter was presented, he also believes that they have not ever copyrighted their name. And so I'll let Jonny talk about it. He's the one that got the email. But he texted it to me, and I was just like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah, we're both equally excited about it. Actually, one of my students brought up a really good point. We need to frame it.
Oh, yeah.
We need to frame it and put it up in our
Put it right there.
in our Rough and Tumble gifts. You didn't bring one, I see, but that's okay.
That's right.
I've got a water bottle.
Okay.
You can
Well.
have, I guess. I don't know.
Anyways, there's a band who is a pretty good folk band. I
Yeah.
like them. Their name is the Rough and Tumble, and we think very highly of them and think that we should work together and not against each other. But the point is that their name is the Rough and Tumble, our name is the Rough and Tumble Podcast, and we specifically put our in our logo podcast to separate us. We're grouped separately on all streaming platforms, and we're categorized as such, so there shouldn't be any issue. But basically, they felt that we're competing with them on listens, and we're starting to confuse their fans, which
Are they pretty popular?
No.
No.
yeah, I mean,
Well, okay.
like,
I don't want to say that. 'Cause
they're
I don't
more
know.
popular than us.
Yeah, they're more popular
but
than us.
like they're middle of the road folk band
Mhm.
popularity. Like
I'm sure.
they would come through to Kings.
Okay.
Like they'd play at Kings probably, that kind of thing.
And they, like I said, they were whenever they approached us. I I felt bad. Like Johnny and I actually had a kind of a somber conversation because we both come from similar backgrounds where like we know how hard it is to get your brand out there and how hard it is you're doing all this work. They've been together for like 9 years. They've been really pushing. And then all of a sudden a podcast comes along that in their opinion is taking some of their contextual views away from YouTube, Spotify, and stuff like that. So I was kind of like, oh, well, that sucks. I don't want to be dicks about this. But then I was just like, we kind of are on a roll right now, and we've developed an entire deal behind this whole Rough and Tumble podcast. If we change our name now, we're just starting to fuck over. I get it. We didn't put 9 years in like they did, but we put a lot of work into this too,
But who's looking for music to listen to and then finds a podcast and be like, dude, fuck that band. I'm never going to listen to them again.
And what's funny, the reason that the conversation probably came up was somebody came to a show and was like, Deborah, I keep looking for your music on YouTube and I keep finding this stupid fucking podcast. Like that's most likely what happened.
Yeah. It's like, the SEO is the biggest competition. Like, basically like who ranks first on Google. Yeah. That's where the competition is.
So the issue is that basically when people type in the Rough and Tumble, we come up and they're not upset, but they're concerned that we're taking away clicks and views and content sharing.
Honestly, I think it's the last that we'll hear from them.
I think so also.
We'll hear a follow up or anything.
And to quote our great attorney, Harrison, he said, it's not like you're competing for shitty folk songs in Oregon. Which I agree with.
Yeah.
So, but like Johnny said, I would like to have them on the podcast. We want to help them out and share the platform if we can. They seem like really awesome people. And like you said, they're a
How cool would it be if they could do an intro song for us?
Yeah, dude. Like something like that.
Yeah.
Like that would be fucking
I don't know what we could do in return, but we'll run security at their concerts.
Yeah.
Do something like that.
Something. But as artists, I would rather us work together. But it was pretty cool. I mean, like when I saw it, I was just like, this is kind of cool. Like, we've only been doing this for 18 weeks now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and somebody already wants you to stop.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of people that want us to
That's
stop.
true.
Yeah,
Success.
they're just the first ones that were vocal about it in written form.
That let us know about it.
Everyone else is just saying it to their friends.
Right.
God, I wish they'd fucking stop.
So Mitch and I were Mitch was asking about all of your degrees and what you do and all of that stuff, and I couldn't rattle off literally anything. I was like, I know he's not like a psychologist, but something along those lines. So so I don't screw it up, will you kind of go through what your background is and what you do?
So I am a licensed associate counselor in Arkansas. So I do like mental health counseling and stuff like that at Arkansas Tech University.
Oh, you didn't have to go that far. I didn't want you to.
Well, I didn't really know what to say.
I didn't want you to throw yourself under the bus there.
Yeah. I don't think any of my coworkers are listening to this. Hopefully,
that's good.
And even if they are, we're not going to talk crap about the profession, the university,
Yeah, but we've already tainted our.
But I got a master's degree in mental health counseling, and right now, currently, as kind of like a side gig, I'm getting my certification in mental performance consultant, and that's through like this major organization in sports psychology. So I would be a licensed mental performance consultant, and I would be only the second one in Arkansas.
Oh, wow.
Is it through Herbalife?
Advocate.
Advocate.
Yeah.
My other favorite performance supplement company.
So with that, I mean, who's the? I imagine that the other one probably like works with the Razorbacks or something.
She actually works in addictions.
Oh, really?
It's really strange.
Wow.
I've never talked to her or anything. I just looked her up.
So it seems like there's in the area there would be, or in this state there would be a huge need for that, being like at the U of A, and somebody needs to talk to
So
their
if something were to ever happen to her, you would be the only one?
I would.
Well,
okay.
I think we just found our
This
gift.
is the very first step of making a murderer. That poor lady is gonna get murdered somewhere, not related to us, and then we're gonna end up.
Somebody's gonna be trying to find the Rough and Tumble band. They're gonna come across the podcast. Like it's.
No, so it seems like there's a pretty big need for that in the area. That's pretty cool. And there's not like a degree specific to sports psychology, is there? Or like what
It's really tricky.
doing?
There's definitely no clear path to becoming a sports psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a handful of programs in the country that you could be that are sports psychology programs. Outside of that, it's like specializations, things like what I'm doing, where you have to get a certain amount of supervised hours or things like that. But it's really kind of an interesting field because of that. It's hard to get into, and I think that's why there's only one other one in the state of Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also, it's kind of like it's a new thing, kind of, and so if like an athlete tells someone else like, hey, I'm seeing this sports psychologist, people are like, well, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so there is still kind of that stigma on it.
Uh-huh.
And so I think that's another reason there's not a clear path and there aren't very many in the state.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That and Arkansas is kind of behind on almost everything.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
What got you was it one of those situations where you were going through your undergrad, kind of unsure of what you were going to do, and then went into that field and then just kept pursuing it? Or did you go into your undergrad already knowing, like, no, I'm going to get into counseling?
No, my undergrad was it was a shit show.
Basket weaving?
No, I came in wanting to be like a doctor.
Like a medical doctor?
Medical doctor. Not because I wanted to be a doctor, just because I thought it sounded good, because I would make a lot of money.
True. Eventually, after 17 years of school.
Right. And then I developed what some people would call a drinking problem.
Okay.
And so for like 2 years, that was my major.
That was your undergrad?
Alcohol and various other things. And then I kind of pulled it together, and I originally got into counseling because I wanted to work with veterans.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like really guilty about like veterans going to war and stuff. And, you know, I'm this person that's like voting for these politicians, and I'm not doing anything. And so I kind of wanted to help them out. And then I got into the field and just completely changed focuses. But that was how I switched to mental health.
You didn't feel guilty anymore?
Yeah, I got over that.
Okay.
Yeah. You and I have
adopted-
had conversations about that before with PTSD and different things like that, you know. And I think that there's a correlation. So I put the cart in front of the horse. Let me explain what my thought was. Okay. The conversation you and I had was how I've been deployed to multiple combat zones. I'm going again in August. And I have personally not really experienced much PTSD. At least not to the understanding that most people understand PTSD to be. On the flip side of that, there are people in far worse situations that I have ever encountered, who have seen things that I can only imagine, right? Things that I've never seen before, and I can imagine how that can affect someone. But the conversation you and I were having were, and I've had this conversation with other professionals as well, how you have your basic infantry guys and, you know, your average soldiers, airmen and et cetera, who go into these crazy environments like that, into war and battle, and come back and are completely destroyed mentally. And then we have our tier 1 guys and our operators who are going into similar combat experiences, probably far worse than that in some instances, and are having almost zero response as far as PTSD is. And one of the things that we had talked about was it's the mental conditioning. Certain people are more apt at being able to compartmentalize and deal with trauma that way as opposed to others. And so when you have guys in like a tier 1 environment or in an operational environment they're already kind of a higher tier of person, right? Like for instance, air crew in the Air Force. So when you go through all your technical training, all other career fields, your tests, you're required to score at least a 75% on all tests to qualify and pass, like written tests. All air crew positions, it is a minimum of 85, right? So we're already held to a higher standard. You see the same thing out of some of your other tier 1 assets. And I'm not comparing myself to a tier 1 asset. I'm just saying in comparison, right? And then we have to go through a lot of different higher level training. And so my theory has always been that it takes a certain kind of person to pursue that to begin with. Whereas, you know, your average person off the street who just needed a job and was like, I'm going to join the Army and they're going to put me in the infantry. they weren't the. You see where I'm going with this, right? Like mentally, they're already probably more apt to be predispositioned to have those types of reactions to trauma. Whereas like your SWAT guys, your SEALs, your all those guys, they're already kind of a different mental capacity, you know. And I bring all that up because you see it with athletes, right? So in the comparison with that, like someone like a TJ Brown or a Bryce Mitchell or a George St. Pierre, whatever, they're already adapt to mentally to their ability to compartmentalize and put themselves in extremely stressful situations is already a part of who they are. Now, from your perspective, do you think that there's any validity in what the fuck I just said?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know what you just said.
You said a lot.
We are all dumber now having listened to it.
You said a lot, but didn't say really anything.
I was mostly thinking out loud, and nobody was stopping me. So,
well, it sounds like you were saying like two things, kind of. Mm-hmm. One, there are these tier one or these kind of people who are more just prone to be able to deal with stressful situations, but they also go through certain amounts of training and exposure to that stuff that prepares them to handle it once it does happen. Right. So that's kind of the idea, like behind most mental health, psychological issues, strengths, weaknesses, all of that is that you have kind of a genetic biological disposition to be somewhere on that spectrum, strong, have a deficit, whatever that might be. And then your experience through life can strengthen that, can weaken that one way or the other. So, yeah, I think what you're saying is dead on. And people like Bryce or TJ, you know, they have had...
Or George St. Pierre.
Or George St. Pierre. They're the same. They've had a lot of pro fights, but they had a lot of amateur fights before that. They compete in other martial arts. I know Bryce did some wrestling tournaments. I know I've seen them both in jiu-jitsu tournaments. So they have that exposure. They've dealt with wins, losses, bad training camps, bad experiences, and they're prepared for that. They understand that can happen.
So do you think that part of it is genetic predisposition, and then the other part is that whether it be fighters or your higher level military guys, part of their training is stress inoculation. So they're being exposed to it at a high volume, and it's like they're building a callus to the effects of that trauma.
So do you think maybe for a basic infantry person, the answer might be that the training just isn't enough?
I think from a stress position, probably not.
Yeah.
Basic training is fairly stressful as it is for an average person.
Right.
And then your basic infantry schools are fairly stressful.
I imagine though the difference between like basic training and fucking war,
right.
is like
100%,
completely
absolutely
different.
And I talk about this a lot. So one of the things that we have to go through, all high-risk capture personnel, to include pararescue, combat control, TACPs, air crew members, things like that, we have to do a 31-day combat survival school, where a portion of it is teaching us things that I can't say on the podcast. The other portion of it is a week in the field where we're literally in the national forest mountains and we're rucking all day, every day, and it's actually designed to simulate being shot down, and you're having to go from point A to point B for land nav. You're eating whatever Brutes berries you find on the ground. I was eating a lot of snow, which is not good for you.
That has no nutritional value.
Yeah, that's what the guy kept telling me.
But it's the brown snow.
Yeah, I was like,
it's chunky.
I just kept putting bouillon cubes on it and making Roma noodles out of it.
Guys, I don't think Mitch is gonna make it. He's been eating dirt.
I'm still here, and so they do all that, and then you get at the very end, you're rescued, and then they put you into a resistance camp where they literally spend days showing you what it would be like if you got captured, right?
The only thing I can think about right now is the plot of Pearl Harbor, where he gets captured, and then she starts dating the other guy, and then he comes back, and they're like married or whatever. That's what I'm thinking about with the podcast, is you're going to get deployed and then get captured. I'm going to start doing it with somebody else, and you're going to come back all offended and mad.
Yeah, that's a similar thing that happened in Castaway to Tom.
Yeah, Castaway.
We thought you were dead. We buried you.
Yeah.
And he says, what was in the box? No, it's true. But yeah, I guess I get fascinated by that because you hear of some of your more apt people. But I think you're right. I think that you just become more and more callous to the process and to the effects of that stress, you know. But they say, I was listening to Justin Wren, and he was saying that like 72% of Americans suffer from some form of PTSD. They just don't know it because of what we consider post-traumatic stress to be. You know, I guess PTSD is such a broad spectrum that the average person doesn't realize that they may have or suffer from some of the symptoms. Then again, I'm not an expert. I just listen to podcasts.
That sounds really high to me.
So maybe he said more like 32%.
I think I gave Lizzie PTSD after that wedding.
See? Yeah. But that's true.
Yeah. She refuses to come on the podcast now because of it.
Well, one thing that I had a professor in grad school, and he does a lot of work with the Red Cross. And so, like, when there's a national disaster, 9/11, things like that, he's one of the people that go in and provide counseling right off the bat. And he was telling us that it's actually a pretty small percentage of people who are exposed to a traumatic event, a single traumatic event, especially with natural disasters. But it's a very small percentage that actually develop PTSD. Now, what Justin Wren might be saying is that people have some like residual anxieties and things like that.
Okay, maybe,
but it's
yeah.
not severe enough to actually meet the criteria that we have that establishes what is PTSD. That would be my guess of what he's saying, because 72% would be like astronomical.
So here's another thing I've heard about since they've done the Medical Marijuana Act, that basically they're just writing PTSD down for like most people that are coming
to get
in. Yeah, like
marijuana.
Oh, I can't sleep at night. Okay, PTSD. You know, oh, this hurts, PTSD.
My ex
so that
was
might
that
like
person.
throw off the count and stuff like crap like that. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So like if you have all of a sudden everyone in Arkansas has PTSD, what the fuck happened in Arkansas?
Well, you're not wrong, because speaking of addiction, so my ex, and I'm very candid when I talk about this experience with people. My ex is a recovering addict. When I say recovering addict, I mean that she has not been fully sober in probably 6 years, but she has had ups and ebbs and flows and stuff. And one of the things that she would do when we were married is we'd go to the hospital because she would complain about kidney. She would say her kidneys were hurting. And then I started finding out that that was one of the things that drug addicts would do, because when you go into an ER and they do an ultrasound and they do a CT or whatever, and they don't see anything, they just take your word for it. And they would give you Norco, Oxys, whatever you were looking for. And the addicts had figured this out quickly, that, well, if I can give the doctor something that he can't find and has to take my word for the fact that I'm in pain because maybe I just have a kidney infection or whatever, and that's what we do. And so I would take her to the ER all the time and sit and wait. And the whole time I'm thinking like that she's having these serious episodes and that she's actually having medical emergencies. And the whole time it was because she had learned from whoever, her other junkie friends or whatever, that if you say that to a doctor, they'll prescribe it. Until they started putting her in a database, apparently, and they would just prescribe her ibuprofen, and then I would have to deal with that on the way home, right? And it's similar, right? So the PTSD thing, they're finding that, oh, well, if I just say that I have this, regardless of whether I do or don't, I get a marijuana medical card.
Yeah.
You know. So,
Yeah, it's a you can fudge the numbers really easily with that kind of stuff, I would imagine. I don't really know how they collect the numbers on that, but I would imagine you could screw up some stuff playing around with those kinds of things. But then again, too, like if you're hiring a bunch of people that are just, and you're not training them to, from what I understand, I haven't been to the place or anything like that, but from what I understand, like they're not doctors that are checking you out and giving you your card or whatever, approving you of your card. It's just
I heard it was
that need
just
a job.
It's just a certification through Advocare.
Yeah. Jenny Craig. I feel like that's probably the most successful of all those Yeah, that would be the most
Jenny Craig
successful
was
of like. Did they do like the pyramid schemes style?
Oh yeah, of course it was. No. I think
Did you have
Jenny
to
Craig,
sell it to other people?
No. I think that was just like a Slim Fast thing.
Oh,
Like
okay.
you just signed up for it, and then they sent you your meals and stuff.
Oh yeah, it was just a different kind of scam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a scam. It was taking advantage of people's absolute laziness.
Yeah. Well, so is Slim Fast. Like, here, drink this shake, and that replaces a whole meal.
Yeah, and it does. They weren't wrong.
But then you drink 3 shakes a day, and that's all you live on.
The argument was a shake for breakfast, a shake for lunch, and a sensible dinner. That's exactly what the conversation was.
Was it really?
Yeah, that's what it would say on the commercial. And then you would see people like making a bowl of Lucky Charms using the Slim Fast. You know, I love
Speaking
my
of which,
Lucky Charms.
Josh, are you hungry? Do you want to go eat? Do you want to go to a buffet?
Oh my god.
Every guest that comes in,
He
I'm
hasn't
gonna
been
try and
talking.
convince him to get him go to the buffet.
Yeah.
with me.
Which buffet is it?
Barnhill.
Barnhill.
God,
Okay.
dude, it's like just good old Southern cooking.
Is it like Western Sizzling? Did you
No.
ever go there?
It's not like that at all. It's like
Ryan's?
It's not as dirty.
no,
So it's better.
it's better.
Okay.
It's like your grandma cooked all of it.
My grandma can't cook anymore.
Okay, well, it's like my grandma cooked all of it. She's a fantastic cook.
All right.
But
That was what was always weird about Cracker Barrel. Like we would always have people being in the military. Not everyone is from the same place. You can imagine, and all my friends would want to go to Cracker Barrel and stuff. But for me, that's just the same kind of food that my mom cooked.
Mm-hmm.
So I never understood the attraction.
Have you ever had Cracker Barrel's Coke cake? The
Mhm.
Coca-Cola cake? Oh my God, dude. Get that. Just next time you're at Cracker Barrel, get the Coca-Cola cake.
I don't think
Jesus.
I've ever ordered dessert at a restaurant.
I have
I have every once in a while.
at Chili's. I used to get the
Yeah.
lava volcano chocolate.
It'd
thingy.
be something like that. Like,
Yeah.
it's my birthday or
Yep.
something.
I
Oh,
did
that's
get a
true.
birthday
Yeah.
dessert one time.
At his bachelor party, we convinced the people. Oh, we didn't even convince him. We just started singing "Happy Birthday" to you. That was the joke. Was like every time Josh walked into somewhere. Oh, excuse me. Damn it! I screwed it up.
Who?
Beep.
Yep.
Every time the person we don't speak of walked into somewhere, we were like started singing "Happy Birthday" to him. But it wasn't his birthday. It was his bachelor party. And then I got drunk and passed out at 9 a.m. or 9 p.m.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We needed to bring up my episode at this past wedding was lit. That was the first time I've ever blacked out. I didn't even black out whenever we had our night of
Debauchery.
rambunctiousness. I didn't black out. I remember most of it. Like, I think I remember all of it. I don't remember standing up there whenever they were getting married. It was a great wedding. And my full intention, I said it, I was like, I'm going to get drunk because I don't want to be in a wedding right now. I don't want to do this. And so I'm going to get really drunk. And I did, but I got way too far.
Did they provide alcohol to you?
There wasn't any alcohol there,
Oh.
but they gave us flasks. They gave all the groomsmen these custom flasks. And I was the only one that decided to drink what was in my flask. So I drank everybody else's too. And Spencer kept like feeding me more. They kept taking away the flask from me. And then Spencer would be like, here you go, bro. Because he knew what he was doing. But
did all the other flasks say Rough and Tumble Podcast on them as well?
no, they all had like custom, like Spencer's had his moving company on it. Just weird stuff like that. But it was a great wedding from what I hear. I was there. I was there physically. I wasn't there mentally. I remember like just the highlights of it. And Lizzie says that like I was a fucking nightmare to deal with. I was all over the place. It was good times.
I've gotten so much better about drinking.
You were drunk last night.
Yeah,
And you were drunk the last time I saw you.
I didn't say that I stopped drinking. I said that I've just gotten better.
You just gotten better at it?
So what does that mean to be better at drinking?
So you being a counselor, dealing with everything that I dealt with my ex-wife, I'm one of those people that are really good at compartmentalizing things, and not letting it affect me in any way, shape, or form. And then apparently, I had bottled it up for so long that when I would drink, it would come out. But directed at whatever female was around. Now, I'm not a physically abusive person. I've never put my hands on a woman. But, well, I mean, like, sexually, I've put my hands on them sexually.
I just started thinking of that. You remember that video?
I do not freebase cocaine.
Yes. I do not freebase cocaine. Now, every once in a while, if I'm at a stoplight, I won't drink and drive. But if I'm at a stop sign, I might.
So, I was never abusive. But, like, I would find myself, like, with my live-in, she basically, whenever... she could do anything. It didn't matter. Like, if I had gotten to that point where, like, if she told me that I needed to stop drinking, then I would fly off the handle. Like, the dumbest stuff, right? Mm-hmm. I had a little bit of a coming to Jesus meeting in October, or in the summer, this past summer. And I was like, I gotta fix this. I gotta figure out what the fuck's going on. And I did. I fixed it. And now I can drink, and I don't get mad. And so I've gotten a lot better. And Johnny texted me. It's actually, I'm going to read it because it was actually pretty funny. I was pretty proud of my wittiness, even though no one else is going to respect this.
Was it? I got a question. Maybe you can.
Yeah, you guys talk amongst yourselves while I find this.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe you can think on it while he does his BS. You can use Gravitas as an example, if you want. What's the number one like mistake that you see the general, as far as like mentally and all of that, like what's the number one mistake that you see just the general population of jiu-jitsu making? You know, not necessarily like the people that are trying to be world champions or whatever, but just everyday people that are trying to be better at jiu-jitsu or maybe win a regional tournament. Like, what's the thing you see in the gym that people are doing to themselves that are detrimental or whatever?
Tying too much to the outcome. It's win
good. Yeah.
or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's, you have to have some of that. You know, you have to really try to win. You have to want to win. You have to train to win. Otherwise, you're probably not going to learn as much.
Right.
But if you tie all of the value on the outcome, whether you win or lose, that's going to give you extra anxiety because it's not something you can control.
Yeah.
You know, if I sign up for a tournament, and when I was a blue belt, those no-gi divisions at like AGF, it was like 5 years and up now. I think it was 4 years and up then. I did one of those. And I had Omar French in my bracket, as you know.
Yeah, we've only made fun of you since then.
Did you lose?
Oh, yeah.
I beat him, by the way.
Thank you. Somebody needs to.
Oh, man, that's going to be so good. There's so much fuel for my fire in the gym.
But at that point in my career, I had no chance of beating him. I could have went probably, let's do a better example. Say Marcelo Garcia entered that tournament. We would have been in the same division. Mm-hmm. And Marcelo Garcia's worst day would stomp me on my best day. So winning, it was completely out of my control there. But if all the value is tied up on winning or losing, my anxiety is going to go through the roof because I'm trying to control something I can't.
Yeah. I'm
fighting a losing battle. But if I change my focus to outcome, right? So I want to try to process, right? How I compete. I want to compete to the best of my ability. I want to not quit, or I want to just try to hit certain positions. That stuff's sort of within my control, right? So my anxiety automatically comes down and my performance goes up.
So your suggestion is to focus on more specific things that you want to do within the tournament. I want to try to hit this sweep in this tournament. I want to try to get a takedown, something like that.
Yeah. Or just go for the takedown.
Yeah.
You know, how you want to be as a competitor, especially for someone like me or some of the guys in the gym, say Chris Baugh, or some of the blue belts, purple belts, who just compete for fun because they enjoy it. You know, you're not going to be a world champion. So why tie all your value into winning?
Winning, yeah.
As somebody who's not won a single match at black belt, my goal is to just shake the other guy's hand at the beginning of the match, and then I win. That's it. That's where I set my goal, like the fist bump, and then I don't expect anything else out of the match. Speaking
of not tying too much to the win, as a person who's never won a black belt match, so is that I remember on like a personal note, you had struggled with that. I feel like a little bit previously whenever you did whenever you're training for your MMA fight. I feel like you had struggled a little bit with that. I don't know. I mean, like, maybe I was totally reading the situation wrong. We talked about it a little bit. And then even a little bit at blue belt, you really struggled with competition. Is that something that you feel like drove you to learning the sports psychology of what you do now?
Yeah, that's where my interest in it came from. Was trying to figure it out for myself.
Yeah.
And MMA is a little bit different because it's not just like losing.
The outcome's a little bit different.
You might get really hurt.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so that the stakes are so high in that that's where a lot of the anxiety comes from. I mean, the guy that I fought sent people to the hospital. It was all over Facebook. His
It
mom
was
told
all
everybody.
over. His mom and my mom would get along well.
But yeah, I definitely struggle with that. Like blue belt and purple belt. You know, I love jiu-jitsu. I do it a lot. And so I feel like if I'm not winning, then am I just wasting my time? You know, and all that. And that's not true. You're not wasting your time if you're not a winner. Not everybody can win. But yeah, that's where my interest came from for sure.
You had a text you wanted to read us?
Oh, yeah.
Did you put it away already?
No, it's right here.
Okay. You just pull it out.
So, Johnny said this. He asked me. He said, "Do you want to show start Sunday around 11? Knock out what we need to get done before blank shows up at 12:30." I said, "Yes, sir." He says, "That was more of a question and less of a statement." I said, "I feel I answered it adequately."
I didn't want to demand things. I felt like I was demanding that you be there because I didn't put a question mark at the end of it.
So I was drunk and didn't understand why you were saying that because I was like, I don't know, dude. Like, it looks like both.
Yeah.
So I was like, I feel like I answered it adequately. And I'm also drunk. And he just said, "Perfect. Do what I did and completely black out." Apparently, I had a great time and ruined a wedding.
It was good, dude. That was Lizzie's mad that I'm proud of myself for what I did, but I don't know any other way to be.
Well, the one thing I love about going to Louisiana, where I'm from, aside from the food and all that stuff, that night particularly, honestly. So we have drive-through daiquiri stores. You just drive through them. Well, the one that's closest to my live-in's brother's house it's called Daiquiri Divas. So that's the name of the place. And they sell half-gallon daiquiris.
Oh, God.
So it's a half a gallon daiquiri. It's the biggest thing you've ever seen in your life. And I drank it all. And then when I got to like this much left, which is, I don't know, probably like, 16 ounces were left or whatever, I just put a bunch of coconut rum in it and swirled it around and drank it as fast as I could.
Dude, I can't drink like that anymore.
Well, it tasted just like a Fruit Loop. It was delicious.
I used to be able to, well, I'm just saying like that quantity of
yeah,
alcohol.
I don't do it often either. I was just on vacation. So like I drank like 3 times while I was on vacation this past week. I got drunk all 3 times, but it's because here at home and stuff like that, I don't really drink at all.
Yeah.
Like I don't, because I don't like to have the inability to perform at work, in class, things like that. I don't like feeling that way. Plus, I've got all my kids and responsibilities and stuff, and I don't like to deal with any of that. So even on the weekends, I don't really drink because Sundays we're doing the podcast. Saturday I'm spending time with family. Although there was the one Sunday when we had Nate that I did drink a whole like 24-pack of Blue Moon. It was an occasion.
It was. Nate was in town. We had to celebrate. So I almost forgot to bring this up. The last episode. Yeah, it was the last episode. You had talked about you were going to do Worlds because I convinced you or whatever. You remember?
I don't like your tone.
You're going to figure out why my tone's this way here in a minute.
Go ahead.
So you said you're going to do Worlds
because you're talking about the timing?
Because I convinced you of it or whatever, and so then I decided I'm going to do Worlds with you.
There you go.
So I'm going to,
Are y'all in the same weight class?
No, we're going to only compete against each other at Worlds. We're planning a choreographed dance. We're going to go and clear the mats. And
I will tell you this, a lot of people make this big deal because in jiu-jitsu, the adult black belt world championships are considered to be like the pinnacle, and Masters Worlds doesn't get as much as much attention as the original Worlds. But dude, I'm here to tell you, man, like Masters Worlds black belt is just a who's who of every legend of the sport.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't give a fuck, man. Like, I've said this before. So I'm middleweight, so 181.5, but I've competed at medium heavy, which is like Josh Hinger, Marcelo Garcia, like all these titans. Lovato Jr., I think, was medium heavy.
Wait, are you competing at middleweight at Worlds?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the same weight class.
All right.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm not doing medium heavy. Fuck that.
I'm not doing. You think that that it'd be a good idea for me to go back up to medium heavy?
I think you should do lightweight.
No, I can't.
All right.
What is that weight class?
Well, I'll see you in the podium.
167.
Yeah, I can't do that in a gi. I don't think I could make that in gi. If I was like shorts or something, I probably could. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I'm gonna go to Brazil in June, and that's gonna be the start of my training camp.
You should film it all, and then like I'll film my training camp, and we'll just like make a montage.
Well, dude, I figure we're probably gonna compete at a bunch of the same tournaments.
Oh, of course.
Probably against each other a couple times.
I can't wait.
So we
Who's gonna win?
I have a winning record against Jonny, so
yeah. Well, he's not throwing me again. That's for damn sure. I'm
kind of on an LDMA throwing tour right now.
LDMA throwing tour. But yeah, we'll probably. I'll see you on the other side, bro.
As long as I get past the handshake.
Whatever. I'm gonna wrist lock you in the handshake. So yeah, I figured if I'm gonna make you do it, then I have to do it.
There you go.
And so here I am to say that I'm gonna try and do it.
Whew.
Yep. I've got health insurance this year too. That's a big part of it too.
It's actually pretty nice. Like when you tear a bicep in your first black belt match, that health insurance really came in handy. From a sports psychology perspective, I routinely will try to figure out ways to fuck with my opponent to get them to make mistakes. And when I fought Eric Ingram, one of the things that I did with him was during the match, I was vocalizing what the score was to him. So like if I threw him, I vocalized that I had just scored 2 points, even though it was submission only. My intent was not to make him upset or anything, but my hopes were that it would cause a mental shift to where he would go into a more playful mindset so that I could turn it up. Like I was always going to try to be aggressive during that match, but I was trying to get him to go into a playful mindset so that he would maybe not be as apt to be aggressive during the match.
Some mental jiu-jitsu.
It did not work at all. At all. He took my back and choked me.
If
on
you take
a big
that
screen
approach and then you start losing, do you stay with it?
Yep.
Like 2-4.
Yeah.
2-8.
Well, a lot of times what I'll do is go, is that all you've got?
Is that all you got? Right before they choke you.
Yep. I'm like, man, I bet that grip's getting tired because I can't even feel it on my neck right now.
I had an MMA fight where I was on top of a guy ground and pounding, and I accidentally hit him in the back of the head a couple times. And they were just like kind of wrapped around, hit him in the back of the head. And he's like, ref, he's hitting me in the back of the head. And I was like, dude, I'm sorry, bro. I didn't mean to. He goes, oh, it's all right. And I just keep punching him. I think that could work.
Yeah.
Throw him off a little bit.
What's his name? Josh Fox, I think. And I apologize ahead of time. I don't think that he listens to the podcast, but he owns Fox Fitness in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. Really great gym. Really good gym. But he came down whenever Kevin Williams was here. He came down. It was a really good open mat. And I thought you were going, what? Turns out he was just yawning.
I was just bored of the story.
I don't want to talk anymore. So
I was
you
thinking.
guys talk amongst yourselves.
I'm gonna start adding fireworks to the show. I was gonna put some big old firework cones in the corners, so that whenever I hit a sound effect, we can also get fireworks.
Just blast
fireworks show. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Well, the best part about it is like the fact that after this, like you have to wait for the smoke to clear and stuff. So like it's awesome when it's happening,
Yeah.
and then there's
You mean when my house is done burning down?
This was such a bad idea.
So what are your plans for 2020? Do you have any Any plans? This episode is we're kind of fucked up on episodes because we did.
I know a good divorce attorney.
I think I can just get an annulment now.
Yeah.
It's only been a couple months.
Yeah,
It's true.
Yep. Let's talk about your wedding. I was in your wedding too.
Yeah, you did a really good job.
Mm-hmm. I was
I didn't
sober.
notice how drunk you were, if you were.
I chugged a couple beers outside of the truck, but I didn't. That was about it. Wasn't really that drunk or anything like that.
You wanted to remember my wedding.
I did. You know, and mostly I just had my fruit and berries out for everyone to see.
Yep, I posted a picture of it.
That was about it. Yeah, those pants aren't. I'm wearing them right now, actually, and you can't see my fruit and berries because I don't pull them up to my belly button.
One of the things that's weird about not weird, but it's whenever I drink, I instantly become a comedian that I'm the only one who thinks is funny. And so we were at my cousin's, and they were like, her and her husband were just in a seriously like devastating car accident, right? About 3 or 4 weeks ago. He broke both of his femurs, his hands. She had internal bleeding.
Were you making jokes about it?
Nope.
Okay.
But so he's bound to a wheelchair and a walker. Like, you know, it was a devastating car accident. Well, he got out of the hospital the Thursday while I was there, and that was one of the nights that I got really drunk. And so it's like 1 a.m, and his wife is like putting him in bed and stuff. And I notice in the corner there's one of those grabby things like you pick up trash with.
Oh yeah.
And I thought it was funny to just start grabbing his dick with it the whole time.
Oh my god.
So, like,
no.
He after like 6 hours before that, he had just told me how like his whole ball sack and his taint and everything was completely bruised and fucked up and like,
oh no,
you know. And I'm just like, and like my live-in and my cousin are like, stop. And I'm like, no, it's funny. Look, everybody, look, I can see his pee-doo. And then they had to yank it from me, and it was a big ordeal. But I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
So
I'm like the funniest guy I know. He and I had this infamous time that we went out drinking, and then we significantly slowed it down after that. Every time we went out drinking, but we talked about this the other day. I don't even remember how I convinced myself that these girls wanted to dance, or like wanted me in any way, shape, or form. But I looked at him and was like, "I'll be right back, bro." And then I come back like literally 20 seconds later. And he's like, "What happened? Where's your beer?" And I was like, "I poured it all over." I go to dance with him and just like dump my beer all over these poor girls. And then they're like, "Ew, get away from us." And then I go sit down all sad.
All my rap videos have lied to me.
Yeah. I apparently have a problem keeping alcohol in its container when I start drinking.
Have you ever been picked up at a bar? Like, have you ever had like a girl like overtly?
Yeah, that night. That's what got us so drunk.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, got me. This girl was like, we'd gone to another bar, and then my friend Michael was texting me. Was like, "Hey, dude, you need to come back here. This bartender's like really feeling you, and she wants to give everybody free drinks. You know, she wants to get us all drunk." So I was like, "Yes, sir. I'll be there in a little bit." So then we go back, and then she just kept feeding me shots, and then convinced me to do drugs, and I did. And it just went downhill from there, and it was a really, really, really terrible night for me, and terrible weekend.
I was at Willie D's downtown Little Rock, the piano bar, and I was sitting at the bar getting another drink, and out of the corner of my eye, there was like this older blonde lady or whatever sitting next to me, and I can feel her staring at me, like, you know, when someone's looking at you that hard, and you can feel it out of the corner of your eye. So I'm starting to get super uncomfortable because I'm like, is she going to punch me? Like, I don't know. Like, I thought she was like bowing up. And out of nowhere, all I hear her say is, "You'll do."
You'll do.
That's what she said. And so I was like,
a woman
Mom?
after my own heart.
Yeah, I know.
She bows up. Yo.
You'll do.
I had after playing a concert one time, I had somebody pass me a note. And it was a girl, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool, you know, all right, I'm into it." And then she passed me a note, and I opened it, and she's like, it said, "Me and my husband both think that you're the hottest one in the band." And then I was like, "I'm getting roped into a weird threesome right now." and I need to get out of this really fast. I didn't write them back.
Check yes or no.
Yeah, I gave it back to them and then walked away. Yeah.
They were probably super excited as they were unfolding it. To see,
I like sat down like in a corner or something, and they were like in a like a raised area above me, and were like, "Hey, here you go." I was like, "Oh,
that wasn't me.
hello."
I have a question about the "you'll do" thing. So how do you feel when someone says "you'll do"? Is that a compliment, or is that like you just barely meet the
Since I had never been hit on in my life, I was like, this is the best night of my life. Okay. I was so happy to have a girl talk to me at all.
How old were you?
See, I'm 36 now. I was 36.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, this was like 5 or 6 years ago.
You've had girls hit on you.
I really haven't.
You just don't know that.
I just didn't know it, right? I didn't know it.
Because somebody has to walk up to you and say, "You'll do," in order for you to realize that they're hitting on you. It's
true. It's true. I actually was, I thought it was really neat. Like, it didn't hurt my feelings at all. I just remember thinking like, oh, that's pretty cool. Oh. I think that's...
What was her facial expression? Can you reenact that for us?
Well, imagine what it would be like if if you were having such a terrible fucking night
that you had to walk up to
you
Mitch.
walk up to a random guy like myself and say the words "you'll do." She was really disgusted. Actually, she was not okay with me being the person that she was going to have sex with. Like, and we didn't even have sex. Like, I didn't go home with her or anything like that. I just remember thinking like, I said, "Thank you, ma'am," because she was like 40, and I was flattered. I was like 30, 29. I was super flattered. I was very flattered, actually. I shook her hand. Like a gentleman.
There's going to be a Craigslist misconnections out later tonight about this story.
She's been looking for me for all these years.
Have you ever gone through those? Like the misconnections on Craigslist?
Oh, yeah.
I want a misconnection so bad.
I went through...
I saw you at Harps. You were looking at the used condom aisle. I don't know.
The glow-in-the-dark condoms?
Yeah.
You know, they have the men seeking men, men seeking women, women seeking men, or whatever, you know.
Uh-huh.
And I used to go through those because you would see some of the funniest shit. Like, some of them you're just like, this is not real. Like, there's no way. But then other times it would be like, legitimately. And so I'm going through it, and I remember I clicked on one because it was like local in the area. And I was like, click. And I immediately realized I knew him.
Oh, that's my dream.
It was the best. It was a married couple, and I won't say their names. But they were looking for another man to share his wife with.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I just remember thinking, like,
I could be that guy.
I already know them.
Yeah.
This will be an easy thing.
We get the icebreaker out of the way.
Yeah.
So what's funny about those is like there's only one type of attraction that works on Craigslist. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't get on there as a male looking for a female. You'll never find one.
No, you won't.
You can't go on there as a female looking for another female. No chance. You can't go on there as a female looking for... Well, you could go on there as a female looking for a male.
Yeah, you could.
Jesus
if you're a
Christ,
female, you can do anything you want.
That's for sure. It only works for male.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe some weird kind of polyamory, whatever, threesome, orgy kind of thing. But like it only works for male.
I know you said polyamory. I recently learned that word, and I know it means
to love multiple people.
Oh, I thought it meant Mormon. No, okay, so it doesn't mean okay. That's fair, but I think it's funny because you can go on to like Pornhub and whatever, and you type in polyamor, and it will bring up like threesomes. But it's like that's such a weird way to like just look it up. Like
it's
just
like the
type,
most
like,
wholesome way to look up a threesome. I look up polyhammer.
Polyhammer?
Yeah. Speaking of hammers, we've got to shout out the Hammercast.
Yeah.
They did their first. Do you see that segue, dude? This is high quality radio
you don't
production.
get this out of somebody who's got 15 episodes.
No.
This is an 18 episode type group.
We're like more at 20 now.
I feel this.
19 20. Yeah, this is good transitions.
What is the Hammercast?
It's a... Oh, I'm glad that you asked. Yeah. It's so a friend of ours that follows the podcast, and I like to think that we have a pretty big part of him wanting to start a podcast. I hope that we have. He's
He realized,
starting
like,
a
well, if they can
podcast.
fucking do it, anybody can.
Yeah, like these guys are fucking idiots. So he started a podcast, and they did. I believe they recorded their first episode like today or yesterday.
Yep.
And it's not released yet, but it's coming out. So we're kind of like building our network of podcasts now. We have friends that are starting a podcast, and we want to shout them out and work together.
What's their thing? What
So
do they do?
the way that he described it to me was basically like it's for the people that like didn't do well in school, were told that they were going to be failures, like dropped out of high school or whatever, and now are like succeeding and doing far better than what what the people around them had anticipated, that kind of thing. It's for people like that, like interviewing people like that, people in the music culture like I like to listen to. Josh is afraid of my kind of music. And then, so the things like that, of that nature. But I'm not really exactly sure the concrete direction that he's going. But it sounds like it's going to be a little bit like this, of a lot of bullshit and a lot of just bringing in people that we feel are important and are good.
So as someone who's been wildly successful throughout their whole life,
Yeah, what you want to ask?
to me.
Yeah, you're probably going to be more of our audience than his audience. So, talking about weird porn searches.
Back to the topic.
Well, because before you brought up the Hammercast, I was gonna. So at work, we have a drive, like a Google Drive, and it got me wondering, by the way, about because we have a Google Drive, but we have a flying schedule, right? And only 3 people have the password to this. But what it does is it allows us from home to be able to check the flying schedule in case we forget, over the weekend, like what our status is and stuff like that. But only 3 people have the password to it. And my buddy, Scott, is my best friend. He is like the one who created the whole opportunity for it, right?
My name's not Scott.
I'm just saying, everybody that's been on the podcast has been your best friend except me. And you've made it clear.
You've been on every podcast.
I know. But he said, hey, I was looking at the Google Drive searches, and someone has been looking at a lot of Pornhub. And the top 2 searches were loud sex and screaming.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like that's the weirdest thing.
That's a pretty particular.
I know. Like I remember I was like looking at
I get that. That can be a fetish though. Just like.
I guess.
Yeah.
Because yeah, he said, and he told me who it was, and we were talking about how we could be passive aggressive about it now because like we only know of 3 people and we're pretty sure it's down to 1.
Yeah.
And he basically was quoting himself as saying, "You should log out of the schedule before you start cranking it, Donnie." And I said, "Donnie, pipe down over there. You're being louder than your Pornhub searches." But yeah, he was looking up screaming. Yeah, loud fucking. I'm sorry, it was loud fucking, not loud sex. It was loud fucking and screaming were the 2 high search ones. But the thing is he doesn't know that we can see this.
Yeah.
So are you able to see what I look at?
I can look at like if you search on something on Google, I'm sure that I can.
That's all I do.
Oh really?
I look at
all
all
I
my
don't,
porn on Google
because I know better. The only thing that I see is your YouTube history.
I logged
and
out of that, though.
recommendations. Yeah, we started getting like kids recommendations, and I was
Because
like,
of all
oh God, his damn kids have gotten on
Because my
YouTube
2-year-old
now.
watches this show called Coco Melon. It's
That's exactly what it was that we were getting recommendations for.
it's like a kid's learning. And Johnny always knows what phase I'm going through based on my YouTube searches because
I know what's coming up on the episode.
Because I went through it. He was like, God damn it. He's like, all you do is looking up gun stuff. And then he goes, are you getting into magic?
Yeah. There's all
like
kinds of magic card tricks.
Because I went to Branson like 3 weeks ago and saw a magician. And I was like, I'm a magician now.
Yeah,
I'm going to be a
can do
magician now. And so for like, I woodshedded for like 3 weeks just watching nonstop YouTube videos on how to do magic.
Dude, how much shit have you seen? This is why me and Mitch work well together. It's like, how much shit have you seen me go through where I was like, oh, I could do that. And then I just start like trying to figure out how to do it. I did that with magic too.
Yes. It's not hard to do, but the sleight of hand stuff is very difficult. But it's just funny because he was like, are you getting into magic?
That could be your next Patreon video.
Yeah,
Just doing
magic
magic
tricks.
tricks.
No,
true.
I learned the hard way. Most people do not appreciate sleight of hand magic. Mostly everyone in my family. Yeah. When they found out that I was doing magic, it got to the point where it was like a joke. They were like, "Oh, so it's another card trick, Mitch." And then I would do it, and they'd go, "Oh, you did this, this, and this." I'm like, "Yeah, it's not real fucking magic. Like, magic's not fucking real."
Yeah.
And you're being an asshole. Like, nobody goes to a magic show to figure out how it's done. They want to be amazed and mystified. So now I only show my magic tricks to my 9-year-old and my 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And
That's
they
a good
fucking love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine. The
Yeah.
the
Oh,
thing
you got
that
another
just,
card trick for us, Mitch? Oh, ooh, the amazing Mitch. Go fuck yourself.
The thing that discouraged me from doing card tricks was whenever I started to get into like, I wanted to do all the sleight of hands, which I was like, I just have to play with the cards for
That's
long
it.
enough.
You just got to play with it long enough.
But then I started realizing like most of those card tricks are like math based. Like
Not the
you
ones I
gotta
do.
you gotta like separate it 4
No.
times and this and that, and that's when I was like, fuck this, dude, I'm out. I can't count more
Dude.
than the fingers that I have.
Yeah, I learned a lot of cool. I'll tell you what, when I also got into magic, I didn't go to like magician school. I wasn't like a professional magician yet. But when you start going into that rabbit hole and you start finding out how they're doing all the tricks, it takes a little bit of the fun away.
Yeah.
Like because I'm like, I learned how to levitate stuff.
Mm.
And then when you find out, like, there's like all these like magician tools that they use that you can buy from like magician stores.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Damn it.
I thought there was some level of
Or some
of
sort of
wizardry.
like cleverness where you're
Yes.
like, oh, that was really clever.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, like I've been waiting on my letter to Hogwarts and it hasn't come.
Damn.
So
So
every time I see an owl, I'm like, nope, next time.
have you guys ever like wanted to get into like Magic the Gathering or Dungeons and Dragons?
Not once in my entire life, but I
Never.
did go through
Alright, well, never mind.
We're not starting a clan.
Me either. I've never known anybody that's wanted to get into that. That's weird.
I remember all my friends who were really into it though. I had so I was really into comic books growing up, and unfortunately, it's almost impossible to just be into comic books and have friends who were just into comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was the guy that was like, no, I'm just into comic books. That's it. So you go to the comic book store, and there would be guys who were into comic books, and Wizard, and Magic, and Pokemon.
I went through a comic book phase too.
Fuck, you guys are taking it to another level. Like, just be cool with the fact that Wolverine has claws and he can heal himself. But I remember Magic the Gathering got hardcore. I never understood it though, but and every comic book store owner was just like the comic book store owner from The Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were all they were that guy, a ponytail and a goatee and slightly overweight. So
I want to get into it though. Like,
you want to do it now? Like
I've never
making the
done
decision now
it.
in your 30s to do that?
yeah, because like, dude, I have so much time to waste, and I just want to get
So
some.
you want to do Magic together?
Yeah. I just want to
You
like.
have a table for it.
That's exactly what got me thinking about it. I was
I
like,
know.
that's
This
a great
is definitely a
table
Magic
for
card table.
Settlers of Catan. Have you ever played that game?
Mm-mm.
Oh, dude, that's an amazing game. I would get deep into that one if I could. It's not like a incredibly complex game, but it's really fun. Anyways, sorry. So you guys don't want to play D&D with me? Is that what you're saying?
What do you? I actually fully expected there to be a reemergence of those things whenever Stranger Things came out, because of like the nostalgic '80s thing that was being proliferated with that. And unfortunately, it didn't really happen the way I thought it was going to.
I think D&D is still really popular.
It is.
Is it really?
So I worked in a lot of restaurants, and everybody who works in the kitchen is either sells and or addicted to drugs,
Yep.
or big into Dungeons and Dragons.
That's
So-
such a weird disparity in personality.
Yeah, well, sometimes they overlap.
Yeah.
More than you would expect.
Sometimes you get the old yeah.
But I like to listen to their stories. There was a lot of like really creative stuff that they would come up with.
Yeah, you make like your own. I don't even understand that portion of it. Like you make your own storyline for it, right?
Those are
See,
guys
that's
who
cool.
never have to look at porn. Their imaginations are so good that they never actually. So the reason that I have to look at porn is because I can't jerk off with my imagination. I have to see something with my
I go to
eyeballs.
Imagination Land.
I'm glad you said that. I was really wondering.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now you know. I
Yeah.
did. I actually
Jo-
heard
Now I don't have to use my imagination.
to figure it out.
He was asking me the other day about it. If you ever played the game Minecraft, it's one of my favorite games.
My 9-year-old daughter plays it.
That's good because it's the greatest game that's ever been made. So
I'm not familiar with it. I'm not talking shit.
basically, if you were playing blocks, but in an infinite world, where you could make whatever you wanted to, right? Like you could. That's what I play. That's how I play it. I would just like make stuff. But anyways, that's what I do. Is I'll like make up little stories as I'm building castles and stuff. Like, and these
Speaking
guys.
Blocks.
Don't worry about it.
Did you guys see the video of Gronkowski smashing the Lego head of Steve Harvey on the New Year's Eve thing?
I saw Steve Harvey's face afterwards.
Dude, he was pissed. He goes, "You know how hard it is to find brown Legos?" I got to thinking, I was like, I've never seen one. So it must be incredibly hard to find brown Legos. Well, I guess when you make like the tree
feel like
bark and
I
stuff,
have, but I can't think of
super
it
rare.
particular.
Well, like when you've seen like the pirate stuff, you
That's
can get
true.
it from there.
Yeah.
But dude, he just walks up, grabs it, and then smashes it all over the ground.
I'm out of the loop on this one.
Oh, it was probably the funniest thing I watched the day after New Year's.
Steve Harvey has the best facial expressions ever.
He
That's
does.
why he was pound for pound the best Family Feud host of all time.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, because he looks at everybody like they're fucking stupid.
Exactly.
I love his
and he has like 10 ways of
disappointed
doing
face.
it. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't Nathan Kirby on Family Feud?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's
I
wild.
know.
They won too, didn't they?
I don't know if I'd say they've ever done that.
His son like hit mitts and did a flying armbar.
I remember that, but
What?
yeah.
Did they pray?
Steve Harvey looked at him like they were stupid.
Well,
They
that's
probably
Steve
should have
Harvey.
started praying right
But
after
his like disappointed face, like whenever
that. Yeah.
you know he has like the same face whenever somebody says something that they shouldn't, or like something that's just a little off color. That he's like has that blank stare. I love it. He is good. I don't know. I thought didn't Drew Carey
No,
post
Drew
it a little
Carey
bit
was.
too? He does Prices Right.
He does
I know,
Prices
but
Right. He might have done it a little
I
bit.
thought he no. It was
Louis? Or-
Louis.
Louis Anderson.
That's
Yes.
who.
Yeah.
What happened to him?
I think he's dead.
Is he really?
I don't know.
Don't you say that?
Talk amongst yourselves. I'll find out.
Didn't he have a cartoon show too?
Yeah, that was how I knew.
Louis. It was called like no. I'm thinking of a different one.
No, I think it was something like that.
Louis.
I think it was, yeah, and it came on around the same time that Bobby's World was. Bobby's World was my jam.
I don't remember Bobby's World.
Well, that's because you're too young. When you get to be my age, you'll start to understand a little bit more about Bobby's World.
Okay.
Louis Anderson is 66 years old.
Oh my gosh.
That's fucking crazy.
I bet you he's still not funny either.
You don't think so?
I
You don't
mean, he
think
was
had,
funny
like,
when I was a
career
kid.
turnaround?
Or he's gonna.
He
have
always
a-
had like that weird voice and stuff too.
Somebody was posting.
He's still alive.
Have you seen George W. Bush
Looking guy.
do paintings? Have you seen
No.
the stuff about him doing paintings?
No.
Dude,
Are they
he's
good?
like incredibly talented.
Does
He's
he use
doing
crayons?
No, here's the thing. Somebody posted on Reddit. They were like, "Don't fucking tell me that this guy's getting a redemption arc in 2020." But he's doing like paintings, portraits of soldiers that were killed due to the bombings or the war that he started, basically, and as a portion of like therapy and stuff. And like he's incredibly talented painter, and then they're auctioning him off for like money for the families and stuff. But I was like blown away that George W. Bush of all people can paint the
I
way
don't
that
doubt
he
it.
was.
He
did go
is
to
getting
Harvard.
that redemption arc.
Yeah,
When he
he's-
gave that candy to Obama's wife.
That's
Oh,
true.
no.
Yeah, everybody loved that. He is gonna get his. He's gonna get a redemption.
You guys ever watch those Joe Biden creepy videos?
Oh, not the creepy ones.
You've never watched the creepy stuff where like he like
I've seen the one where he's with a kid or something.
that's all of his all of his creepy videos. There's I follow a guy on Instagram who
because they
posted
eat
like
children to stay
for their-
alive
there's
forever.
like a vampire thing. It's,
Oh.
look into it. And
Yeah, Alex Jones says something about
who?
that. Alex Jones?
Alex
Yeah.
Jones. Oh yeah. They eat the baby fetuses. That's true.
We just right now got banned on YouTube.
This was the moment. Speaking of Louis Anderson, in 1997, Louis Anderson was
Seamless.
blackmailed by a man named Richard John Gordon. Gordon demanded money from Anderson, threatening to reveal to tabloids that Anderson reportedly sexually propositioned him in a casino in 1993.
Dude, that's
Nobody's immune.
so before its time.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's something that happens now.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
said Anderson paid Gordon $100,000 in hush money, fearing the story would threaten his starring roles in two family-oriented series. But when Gordon's demands increased to $250,000, Anderson's lawyer informed federal authorities, and Gordon was arrested after leading FBI agents on a high-speed chase on Santa Monica Boulevard.
Whoa. That's pretty,
Boom.
that's
How did I
pretty
not hear
crazy.
about this?
Yeah, well, because it's Louis Anderson. Nobody
True.
actually cares
It
about
was
him.
1993.
That's true.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
He's going to have a... Maybe that's why he's hiding. He's staying under
He is. He's like...
for this Me Too movement, waiting for
Who's
that to
gonna
blow
vote?
over. There's a lot of, like, comedians that just refuse to do college campuses
yeah.
and stuff because of the woke. And I keep hearing people say that, and it's just like, what? That's so weird. That's so crazy. I can't imagine, like, the college campus being so... What are they doing that's chasing them all off?
Dude, have you heard they're trying to... So two things. There was some comedian who... maybe she wasn't a comedian. Maybe she's just a TV producer. I don't know. But she was leaving the office one day, and she just told the office, "Merry Christmas, everybody," and then left. And a person, an intern in the office, went to Human Resources and reported her for saying Merry Christmas.
I hate people.
It was Whitney Cummings.
Whitney Cummings. There you go. Because then she came back, I guess, on Twitter and paraphrasingly quoted saying, "I wasn't saying it to you. It's just fucking nice to say."
Yeah.
You know, like, you don't have, but that Hollywood, California, that whole
woke
thing.
culture.
Yeah, that woke culture. And the thing is they're always trying to out woke each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're like, "No, I'm more woke than you." And they're talking about how there is this computer term that uses the word supremacy in it. So it's like Apple is creating this new computer program that has the ability to, like, outwork from a crazy position of these other computers, and they use the word supremacy within it, like nano supremacy or something like that. And they're trying to get the word supremacy banned because it reminds people of the word white supremacy. Oh my god! Like, you're not even allowed to use the word supremacy.
It should. Well, here's the deal: it's like it shouldn't be. Of course, it's not going to be banned. That's the dumbest thing in the world.
I know.
But number two, like, if that's the choice that they make to call it supremacy, then that's their fucking problem. And if it gives people issues, then don't buy Apple products,
Right.
and then they won't make things that have the word supremacy in it anymore. That's how this works. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
I just think it's so... The correlations that are made on these broad spectrums have gotten so out of hand. And that's the reason I'm glad that I'm not on social media. Obviously, I have an Instagram, but that's it.
that's why
That
podcasts
is
have
it.
gotten so popular too. Is
I
because
would almost
you can pick
yeah.
your audience.
Yeah, you're right.
If you don't like it, don't listen to it.
What do you think, John?
Ja,
I said ja.
Jerry, Jeremiah.
Yeah, no, supremacy is a bad word. They should ban it.
Do you really think so?
Yeah, why not?
Are you being serious?
Why? He's like, why not? Why
Don't
not?
start this bullshit with me. He'll do stuff where, like, the
Next
one
level
will do stuff where, like, I'm like, dude, I don't know if you're fucking with me. And then
He
can't
asked
tell.
me. I was talking to him at the gym the other day, and he asked me that. He was like, "Are you? I can't tell if you're fucking with me right now." And then I was telling you about it, and you were
Yeah.
saying that he's like the king of that.
Yeah.
I was like, "Man,
Are you?
I'm just not sure about a lot of stuff, and so Johnny takes that as disagreement,
he takes it as."
and I don't.
I'm
know.
just
That's
trying to
all
be
I'm saying.
neutral.
You enjoy arguing, though. You will.
I do.
You
I like to
will
argue.
intentionally say something. I don't know what the word is. Like,
No, I won't.
opposite. Yeah, you'll say something intentionally opposite in order to start an argument, even if it's something that you, like, staunchly don't believe in. You're like, yeah, well,
I always like trying to convince people of things that are just absolutely ridiculous. When I was in Colorado Springs for 3 weeks, I had most of the people in my class convinced that almost everything was because of the altitude.
I
Remember I was
Yeah.
saying
You
about
talking
that?
about
Like, yeah. They're like, "Man, I am hungry. It's probably the altitude."
it's the altitude.
They're like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's something to do with the way that the molecules work. Like, you burn more calories at altitude, so I'd probably start picking up the calories." And they're
You
like,
should probably go to the Barnhill Buffet.
"Yeah, you should probably." I'd probably start hitting up Chipotle.
Do you guys want to go, though? Like, since you brought it up, did you want to go? Speaking of getting facts wrong, our last episode, I don't know which episode it was. There was one of our previous episodes was a shit show. We got so much wrong. I was trying to think of Asheville, North Carolina. I said Asheville. You go, oh, in Tennessee, and I was like, yeah. and then just kept the conversation going.
I don't even remember saying that.
Dude, there's so much of it that I was listening to. I was like, nope, that was wrong. Nope, that was wrong too.
We're pretty good about doing that.
Yeah, literally, don't listen to us for facts.
Yeah, we're not a fact.
I actually heard about that from someone else today.
Oh, really?
Talked about how wrong you guys were on the last episode.
Well, we're wrong about a lot of things most of the time.
What's their name?
Names.
Social security number.
I don't know his social.
Oh.
Were they at my gym?
We know
or
it's
your
a him.
gym?
They were at neither gym. His name might have been Adam.
Oh. Well, he's wrong about knife fighting, so.
I'll never figure out who it is. He is wrong about knife fighting. He still thinks he can get me. One day I'm just going to end up stabbed. And then
I just remember he came on base to do that interview with me for the Library of Congress, and the amount of weapons that he had on him, I was just like,
bringing this guy over.
But do you think that if he had a knife, this is our friend Adam, he's a grown man, he's an adult with no physical handicaps.
Right.
And you think that if he had a knife and he was attacking you, that you'd be able to take the knife from him, or what's the disagreement?
Johnny has a much better approach.
Here's what I think. I don't think that I'm not going to get stabbed. I might get stabbed, I might get cut, but he's going to die first.
And that's technically a win.
Yeah. You know, like...
Well, in this case, we don't want to focus on winning.
We don't want to have a win mindset.
I mean, like, the realization of getting stabbed. I don't think that he could kill me with a knife. Because it takes... Most of the time, it takes more than one shot with a knife.
It's true.
And typically, if you stab me in the gut... Now I have your knife. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my knife.
You just flex your stomach.
Flex real hard.
And you end up farting like Josh, like his wife. We'll edit
Josh
that.
looks so disappointed right now.
I know. That wasn't even that funny of a joke. I just wanted to say it again.
You knew better than to bring that up.
Why would you
actually
say
be mad
that?
at me.
Well,
She hasn't been mad at me the whole time we've been married.
The good news is
Very rarely
this.
when we've been together.
Her name hasn't been brought up.
We haven't said her name. We've never said your name once.
Not once, ever.
And you're good for today because this won't be out till tomorrow.
Yeah. So
I
you
don't think
you have
she
enough
was.
time to
24
go
hours to
full
go
winter.
and set this up.
The only time she's ever listened to you guys is when I had it planned.
Yeah,
Or
don't do it.
whenever you were on it.
Well,
She
I'm not
might want
listening
to
to this
listen to it
episode.
now. She knows where to find it.
I'm gonna plan it out so that she has to hear it.
Just tag her on social media. That's good stuff.
Good stuff. So, we've got an episode that's coming out on Patreon, a special episode, an interview with Felipe Trovo, and then his episode. We'll release that as a full episode the following week. After that, I'm excited about that. You haven't gotten to listen to it yet either. I should have had you listen to the episode before you came so we could talk about it. Sorry, but it was really good interview with him. I really liked it. You got to roll with him a little bit?
Yeah, just once this time.
Okay. How'd you feel with him?
Man, it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
Passed
I saw you
his
sub him
guard,
like 9
got
times.
him.
Yeah.
No, he dominated me.
Mhm.
I did better than I did last time, which I count as a
victory.
win.
Improvement.
It's a victory mindset.
Yeah. You didn't die first.
I had a question. You and I train infrequently, mostly no-gi, which I never do. You've never submitted me, but I have caught you a few times.
Yeah, twice.
Well, that's what brings me to this question. I told Johnny about it. The last time you and I trained, I caught you once.
Right.
I took your back, which is surprisingly easy to do.
It is. I've trained him on that.
Yeah. And I remember at the end of the round, you said, "Did you catch me once or twice?" And I said, "I only got you once." But I always wondered why you asked that question.
Because I couldn't remember. Because you had my...
Go ahead.
You just wanted me to talk about
We're all listening.
how you beat me.
I didn't.
So you took my back
The other
2
day when I
times.
submitted you.
And
I
then
remember that.
one time you had my arm trapped.
Oh, because I was almost arm locking you on accident.
Yeah, and I couldn't remember if I got out or not, and I was just curious.
Because I told Johnny, I was like, man, I feel like I feel like so and so is keeping score.
Yeah.
Oh, I do. I always keep score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was
I was saying he might be keeping a chart at home.
And also, in your defense, so that I don't come across the complete douchebag, I also told Johnny on air, I believe, that I submitted you within the first 15 or 20 seconds of a 5-minute round, and then ran for my life the other 4.5 minutes. So it wasn't like an easy kill. And that's usually, you can ask
15 or
Rolly.
20 seconds sounds pretty easy.
Well, yeah, but then I was in defense mode for the next 4.5 minutes. But and that's what Rolly will tell you when it comes to training with me. I'm
First
good.
15 seconds.
The first 15 seconds, I will fuck you up. If you can make it past the storm, you're probably going to go ahead and make a highlight reel on my body because it is not that hard. Rolly has compared me to a Chevy S10 with a 350 motor. Yeah,
I don't know what that means, but
I took it as a compliment. So
you guys are going to help me get my truck out of the yard later. That's going to be fun.
It's exciting.
I got my truck stuck in the yard. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
So I pulled up. So I come to Johnny's, and his truck isn't in the front yard. And so I go down here and I park because I didn't want to like show up here and just be me and Lizzie. Like that felt weird, you know. Like
right.
I don't, you know, it's not disrespectful, but at the same time, like I'm like, man, I wouldn't want somebody hanging out with my wife.
Yeah, it'd be kind of weird if I showed up and like,
right.
hey,
It's just the two of us, right?
on?
So I'm like, well, I'm not going
Why
to
are
do
you
that.
both in the bathroom?
Right. Like she was shaving my armpits. So I stop and I text Johnny and I said, hey, are you home? He's like, yes, sir. And I was like, okay, maybe Lizzie took your truck because you were parked and whatever. And I get there and I asked him, I said, where's your truck at, dude? And he proceeds to show me the backyard where his truck is currently sitting.
Yeah, it's been there for 3 days.
It's like
I've
it's
had
like
to
the
drive Lizzie's
Titanic.
car.
Like it's still sitting at the bottom of the ocean where it's always been.
Yeah,
You know.
poor truck. I just got it too and got it stuck.
Were you like Dukes of Hazzarding it up back there or something?
No, we were moving stuff, and I knew better. I was like, if I get too far into that mud, it's just done. And I got too far in that mud. And
There's a couple of tricks to the audience members listening. When it comes to putting your truck in the mud and stuff like that,
you want to do it right.
you want to do it right.
Mhm.
Also, a little hint: if you think you're going to get stuck, don't touch the gas. let the motor turn the wheels, and it'll actually help keep you from getting stuck. So a lot of times, like if I feel like I'm going to get stuck in a spot and I'm backing out, I'll put it in reverse and then just let off the brake and let the truck roll back.
Oh yeah.
Because it's once you accelerate, the torque starts tearing that yard up and gets
Well,
you
I
stuck.
have a standard.
Is that what you did, Johnny?
What?
What Mitch was.
I dug
advising?
myself pretty deep
I
in.
think we can both agree that is not what happened.
Yeah. Well, see,
I forgot it was a standard though.
yeah, it's
I
a
did.
standard. I tried, you know, I was like, oh, I'm stuck, but I think I can kind of inch it out of there. That dug me down. I was like, okay, obviously I can't do that. So then I tried putting some boards under it. That got worse.
You just
Then I
shot it in
tried-
the neighbor's yard.
Attaching a 2x4 to the wheel so they could get a thing, but then the ratchet strap wasn't big enough. And then finally I just got really angry and started gunning it as hard as I could. And then, yeah, and Lizzie's like out there like, calm down. I'm like, leave me alone. Give me a beer. That's how you end up with a truck in your yard. And
Yep.
next thing you'll know, I'll have 5 trucks in my yard and a camper that's broken down, and I'll be hoarding all
Well,
kinds
one of the
of trash.
suggestions, Johnny was like, well, when so-and-so gets here, I'll have you guys get in the back of the truck and you guys could just bounce up and down and it'll get some weight to it. And I didn't want to tell him, but so I'll say it now that people are listening.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like that's going to work. You're already stuck. Like the tires and the tread and everything are already like slick.
Well, I mean, we're going to be doing multiple. That's not
That's
the
just one
only
approach.
strategy
I got
that
you.
we're going to
Okay,
employ.
okay. That's fair.
We're going to be doing several of them.
That's fair.
You know, we're going to dig it out, put some towels under, then I'm going to put you guys in the back of the truck, start bouncing up and down,
Well,
get some grip.
I noticed that you basically parked underneath my truck today, which was weird. I don't know why. I was
That's where Nissans go.
Mhm. I didn't want you to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
obviously, hope there's not a fire.
All right, let's wrap this up. Thank you for coming on to the Rough and Tumble Podcast. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you
I'm
for having
really
me.
excited about the fact that we talked almost nothing about sports psychology.
Yeah, very little.
We did a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. What, did you have some more stuff you want to talk about, sports psychology?
Try hard, believe in yourself.
You
Take
stole
your
that
vitamins.
directly from me.
That I got it from this other guy named Hunter Colvin. He's a jiu-jitsu guy out of Oklahoma. He's pretty good.
Never heard of
I
it.
got my favorite sweep from him too.
So Hunter came into my gym to do that.
Seminar?
To do that sub only tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he hits. You know that 2-on-1 butterfly sweep where you lift and throw him to the back. That's like my favorite sweep. He hit that on everybody, and then it became the Hunter Colvin sweep. But I did it first.
He's incredibly good.
He really is. Yeah.
Like he just kind of like, I don't know. Like you didn't hear much about him, and then all of a sudden, he was really fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and his business partner James Partridge is really good too.
Isn't it like Jams Partridge or something?
I think that his name is James, and then he just one day took the E out on social media, and everybody calls him Jams.
Okay.
I just don't feel like his parents named him Jams.
That'd be a pretty cool name. What's up, James?
What up? Preserve.
Yo, James.
I like them strawberries.
Where you going?
Like, I don't know. I think I've always called him James because I didn't want to call him Jams, and then him be like,
Idiot.
"Why are you calling me Jams? It's clearly James."
Well, I don't know him, so I'll call him whatever I want.
Well, he's really good at jiu-jitsu as well.
That's cool. Yeah, Hunter's really good, but he stole my sweep. I'm saying it right now.
Hunter never smiles either, which is always super weird. Every picture, he's always never smiling.
Yeah.
He hasn't seen your magic tricks.
Well,
That's true.
we'll have to bring him on the podcast.
Show him the magic.
And if he has one thing negative to say about my tricks, he's off the podcast.
Yeah. We run this show. It's 2020. This is our year. Yeah, we'll have you on some more and we can talk some more about it. Or we can just talk some more about it now. We've been known to stop a show and then just continue going.
Yeah, we've had a couple of episodes where we literally have an outro right back into an intro.
One of them, like, I completely wrapped up the show and Mitch was like, "Oh, we're done." I was like, "Well, we can keep going if you want."
Yeah, and so we did for like another 30 minutes.
Yeah, but
I don't know, you know.
later, guys.
I don't have anything specific to say, I guess. I don't know.
Well,
it's kind of hard
when we had TJ on, he actually made the statement that he believes that most athletes, if you're able to, should seek out a sports psychologist. And he said that he has actually worked with a sports psychologist, and it was a game changer for him.
You know, I would have guessed that. Not from that podcast, which I did listen to, but because they're all really, really exciting content. And
Why wouldn't
good
it be?
stuff.
Yeah.
But I was rolling with him one time, and I guess when I first came to Westside, he was walking around in a knee brace, so I guess he was injured or something.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's probably from rolling with me.
that's those first 15 to 20 seconds.
I'll fuck you up.
But this was like one of the first times I'd seen him training since he'd been walking around the knee brace, and he was a little bit winded when we were rolling, and he was using self-talk to himself, and he was doing it out loud, and he was doing it in a way that was very deliberate, and you could tell this was something that he does.
Mm-hmm.
And so I noticed that, and then when he talked about it on the podcast, it made a lot of sense.
Well, he does that, but when he first started doing it, I thought he was talking directly to me, and so I kept going, huh? And I was like, bro, I can't hear what you're saying because you're whispering.
He's like, "You got this, bro." I know I do.
like,
You don't
I
need
know.
to keep telling me that shit.
Shit,
You're making me feel weird.
Are you fucking with me right now? Like, now I'm not confident anymore.
It does mess with people, though.
Oh,
like,
yeah, I'm sure.
Like, he's already a little bit in people's heads. Like, if you're just normally training with him and you're just recreational because, you know, he's this UFC fighter and he's really good and all that. And then he starts saying, come on, TJ, as he's walking towards you and he's already double-legged you 4 times. Like, that stuff really does take away.
And what I found is I start saying it back to him. Let's go, TJ. Come on. When he's fighting me. Like, let's go.
Do you feel like some people just naturally have got it, like mentally?
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about that with Bryce. I kind of feel like he's just naturally lives in that fire and wants to be there.
Yeah. It seems like, and I don't know Bryce very well. I just know him a little bit from training with him. But his interviews and stuff, the things that he says aren't like, I'm going to go knock this dude out, or I'm going to submit him in the first round. It's like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do my best.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
When I fought Johnny at our super fight.
Here we go again.
I don't know why you always get like that.
Did you win?
Josh was there. Weren't you there? Did you go?
Yeah, I was there.
Josh
Well,
was there.
and I wasn't going to mention
Were you
that.
cornering me?
No, Daniel
I
was.
was up in them.
Because I remember I kept looking at Daniel and winking at him.
Yeah.
And I didn't do that.
Josh said, I don't know why you let him do that to you.
Well, talking about self-talk and stuff, like I used to have it's better now, but it was way worse before. I was really bad about giving up like halfway through the match. Mm-hmm. And it was like a mental thing where like I would get ahead and I would just want to stay there and not do anything else, you know. And I remember having the conversation with myself when I was fighting Jonny. I had passed to side control and was trying to hold him there, and I remember thinking like, I've done enough. This is fine. Like if he beats me, it's okay, you know, no big deal. Like because I just remember thinking like, oh my God, there's so much more time left.
Yeah.
You know, like I remember thinking like,
I was thinking that too.
right. I just remember thinking like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like I worked myself up so much to get to this match, and here it is. I got a good throw, and like, but like I remember thinking like I'm winning right now, and instead of having the thought of let's keep this momentum going, I remember thinking like, fuck, like I put so much pressure on myself to keep it because I was like, dude, now I have to stay here. If I move and do anything wrong, he's gonna win. And I remember thinking like, maybe I'm okay with that though. Like I've done enough, and it was a weird deal. Like, and we talked about it on episodes before where like I go to IBJJF events and I'll be chilling off on the sidelines and being like, I could leave now and no one would even notice. Like no one's gonna care. The guy's gonna call my name a couple times and then they're gonna say that I've been DQ'd and I won't even be there to hear it. But
when I was in Chicago, that's how I felt for sure. When I competed at Chicago, I wanted the fuck out of that.
It's wild, you know. And then you get people like Bryce and stuff like that who, and TJ said he's gotten a lot better with it over the years. He said as an amateur, he was having to give himself like he was doubting himself in between rounds. Like he would finish a round and have no idea what he was going to do to finish the next round, you know. And so, but he's a huge proponent for the sports psychology piece to it. But I don't know if he sought a professional or if he just did like some reading on his own, you know. And I know Zachary had read some sports psychology books because he suffered from competition anxiety pretty severely. So again, I don't know what avenue either one of them took. I know Zachary read books about it. I guess the reason that I never sought the whole sports psychology aspect was because I'm fully aware of my shortfall. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need a book to tell me that I have an issue with giving up mentally in matches, and I've gotten much better at it. I just feel like, what's a book going to tell me that I don't already know? Like, I know. You got to fucking keep going.
How to cope with it.
But see, that's the thing is, like, I'm fine with it. Like, I accept that this is part of my psyche, and I've worked to get better at it.
Yeah.
And really, all I had to do to get better at it was to tell myself, oh, just fucking keep moving. Like, it was that simple. I just said, you know what? Just keep moving. Don't stop moving. If you stop moving, start moving again, you know? And so, I don't know. I'm basically an expert now. So
the best kind of self-talk is usually short and simple, just like that. But the thing about self-talk, the best way to do it is you want it to be deliberate, because we talk to ourselves all day. Like, our brain is an organ that does many things, but one of the things that it does is it thinks. And just like your heart, you can't just like consciously tell your heart to stop beating. You can't tell your brain to stop thinking. And part of that genetic...
Watch this.
No,
How'd you do?
What?
But part of that like genetic predisposition shifts your brain one way or the other. And most people have like kind of a negativity bias. So it's going to give you all these negative thoughts. And they're outside of your control, so they're going to come. Right? So a lot of the self-talk, since it happens all day, it flies under our awareness. Like, and before we know it, before we realize it, we're caught up in this negative spiral of thoughts. Like, it goes from, I may not win, to I'm going to lose. And it feels like not just like a thought, it's like a reality. Right? And so if we're not aware of that, and if we don't practice our self-talk, we get caught in those loops. You
mentioned negativity bias. Are you familiar with where that idea comes from? Like, I would imagine you would be, because you've been going to school almost as long as I have. I don't have a degree yet. That's the difference between the two of us. But one of the things that I do in my job is I teach resiliency training. And I think you and I talked about that. And we have to study the negativity bias piece of that. And it comes from our ancestors. It's a piece of survival because, you know, back in the caveman days, they had to think worst case scenario or else they would die. You hear a rustling in the woods. Nobody goes, oh, it's probably just Frank. He's just going to scare me. He's a silly guy. no, it's a fucking saber-toothed tiger and it's going to eat me. And that's what kept people alive. And then as we've progressed as a society, that part of our brain stuck around, but it's unnecessary now. And it's almost impossible to get rid of unless you consciously, like you said, work on getting rid of that. You know, and it's easy to say, oh, well, you should just be thankful. You should have gratitude and you should have a gratitude journal and different things like that. It's not easy to get rid of negativity bias, like you said. And it's because it's so ingrained in who we are as a human species that you're literally fighting nature when you're trying to develop self-talk. So,
yeah, and it goes even beyond just like worst case scenario type stuff. Like, we all have those moments where just like out of nowhere, this thing we fucked up a long time ago just pops back in our memory, and then we have that like embarrassment, that cringe feeling right then. But so it's that too. We remember the mistakes that we've made more so than the successes we have. Unless you're a narcissist, then all you remember are the successes.
I peed my pants twice in my life. Once when I was a kid, once when I was an adult. When I was an adult and it happened, it affected me far less than when I was a kid. So I don't know if that's what you're talking about right now.
About you peeing your pants? That's where I was going with this.
I pooped my pants twice in my adult life, and they were on the same day.
Never as an adult. On the same day?
On the same day. It was bad, dude. It was really
The second time you're like, not again.
Yeah.
This is turning into a trend.
But neither of you, since the last time, have peed your pants or pooped your pants.
No.
That's a good point.
And that's because
I think you're onto something here.
It's more important.
Josh is tying this in.
It's more important to remember the mistakes.
Yeah.
Because they're more costly for your survival if we look at the evolutionary psychology perspective.
In my defense, the first time I peed my pants, it was not a mistake. It was actually a thought out process.
Oh yeah, we've gone through
this whole thing. I actually planned the whole thing out. The second time,
strategic peeing.
It was a strategic peeing of the pants. The second time I was an adult and got blacked out drunk and woke up sleeping in my own pee. So
I got really, really like deathly ill. I was like super sick and woke up with water just pouring out of my asshole.
Oh, was it just leaking? Just like
I'm not. Yeah, like
oh my god.
The first time I was like, oh, I gotta fart. Oh no. And then the second time I just woke up in the middle of it and I was like, not again. And then I just took myself to the shower and laid in the shower for like 2 hours.
Just be like, if it happens here,
I was
safe.
I was right on the edge of death. Sick.
Man.
I was like, ugh.
I only pooped my pants once, and it was when I was a kid. I was about 4 or 5 years old, and I thought that there was something under my bed, and I had to poop. And so I just pooped in my underwear.
I bet you I scared whatever was underneath your bed away.
And I took my underwear off and then threw them under my bed and just slept naked that night. And then my parents found my underwear.
Good plan.
Mm-hmm. I didn't say I thought it out long.
So negative bias.
So sports psychology really applies to your bowel movements. That's what I want to do. I don't know about you guys, but I'm bringing some valuable information.
My biggest fear fighting MMA was that I was going to get knocked out and end up being the guy that peed his pants or pooped himself. And
you know how people get nauseous when they get overexerted? Like when you're having like a hard train and people get super nauseous.
Wrestling is the only thing that can do that to me.
And, physiologically what's happening is all the blood is going to your legs and your bigger extremities. And so it's a blood flow issue, which is what causes that nausea feeling. About 4 years ago, I stopped getting nauseous, and then now I just feel like I'm going to shit my pants. So I don't know. It's obviously for the same reason, like some sort of blood flow issues happening. But I was training with Ryan Rowley one time, and we were training crazy hard. And I remember as soon as the round was over, I had to run because I was going to shit my pants. I don't know if it's a survival thing, like maybe my body thinks I'm getting mauled by a bear, and it's like, oh, quick, shit yourself. And I have to like self-talk myself into not doing it.
I can't remember where I came up with this, if somebody told it to me or what, but I was like, what if there was... No, we were talking about it in the gym. I've brought this up to you before.
No, you didn't.
What if there was a disease where you couldn't tell if you had to if you had to go to the bathroom immediately or if you were hungry? And either one of them had immediate consequences. Like so every time you felt a rumbling in your tummy, you're like, am I hungry or am I going to shit myself?
I better go sit on the toilet and eat a bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
You just eat all your meals on the toilet just to be safe.
I knew a guy that he had Crohn's disease when he was a kid, and I guess that equates to pooping your pants. Like,
I'm mistaken. When you said Crohn's disease, I thought you meant it's whenever you think that your family's jiu-jitsu is the only jiu-jitsu that matters.
Stupid. Anyways,
There's like 3 people that are going to appreciate that joke.
I don't think that Crohn is that guy, is he? Yeah. Oh, is he really? Okay. Well, anyways, the totally threw me off track, and I don't remember what it's called. Crohn's disease. Oh yeah. He apparently had an issue with, like, when he had to go to the bathroom, it had to be like right then, and so then he became the kid in school that pooped his pants. And but then he developed this thing where, like, he would not go inside of a building unless he knew exactly where the bathroom was, and, like, so he would send people in before him to tell him where the bathroom was, and then he'd go into the building.
You know, and the thing about that is like you said, he became known as the kid who pooped his pants. You know, all the time. Oh, it's Tommy. He poops it. You can't recreate your persona. So, like, maybe he starts wearing goofy hats, and he's like, no, it's not. It's Tommy the goofy hat guy. They're like, no, it's still Tommy the shit his pants guy.
Yeah.
Like, nobody.
Now you're just shitting your pants with a goofy hat on.
Now you're just being ridiculous. Take the fucking hat off.
Yeah.
Stop shitting your pants. You can never reinvent yourself after that. You could do it the opposite way. You could be known as Tommy the hat guy, and then shit your pants, and immediately be known as Tommy shit the pants guy.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But you can't go back the other direction.
Right.
I think
you can only go downhill.
Yeah,
correct.
Most people can't go uphill.
You can't shit your pants uphill.
No, shit rolls downhill.
Yeah,
that's science.
True.
I read about it in a book.
And see, this is why I keep trying to wrap up the episodes. It's because we spiral down into this, and I try to get us out of it by shutting it down.
This is premium content.
I agree 100%.
Premium content. I'm trying to save face for Josh.
He's allowed it to happen. And on top of that, I don't feel like this is nothing that we have talked about.
No, this is not bad at all.
Bleeps in.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
What are you? Maybe we can talk about it off air.
Don't bring it up. Yeah, because we're gonna immediately gonna go and jump into whatever it is you say. Save that. That's an off-air conversation.
Yeah. We'll talk about it when we're trying to get Johnny's truck unstuck.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm glad I have friends in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm glad I wore a white shirt today.
Me too. And red pants and shoes. Are you trying to claim something? Look, you even got a red.
That was subconscious. None of that was supposed to happen.
Red thing. Yep. Be careful. Be careful.
In this neighborhood, I can't even get out of my. I have to drive all the way to Cabot to get out of my truck now. Hope I don't need gas. I'm like, no, it's not what you think. It's not what you think. It's not what you think.
I haven't seen anything like crazy around here yet.
Well, I drove.
Knock on wood.
I seriously did drive to that gas station right here.
Yeah.
The last time we recorded, and I was like, oh man, I'm just gonna drive. And then I realized how out of place I was, and so it was overtly obvious. Like I pulled into the parking lot and did a 180 and drove out of the parking lot. Like
there was a spool of white, like, electrical cable out on the other side of the highway over there, by that gas station, and somebody had spray painted on it. It's just in big letters, "Not copper," so that somebody wouldn't they were like, they'll never get this one, like. That's how bad it is around here, is that they have to spray paint not copper.
It's true. My brother is one of the people that you have to do that for.
There's probably was full of copper.
Oh,
there's meth heads that are going over like, damn it, foiled again.
No, it says it's not copper. I'm not wasting my time. Anybody familiar with Billy the Exterminator? Anybody? Billy the Exterminator? He had a show on A&E called Billy the Exterminator. No. It was like a really popular show, VexCon. He was on Dirty Jobs.
No matter how you explain it to me, I'm still not have seen it.
What channel was it on?
A&E.
Oh, okay. Yep. Still haven't seen it.
Not yet.
Is it on Netflix?
Nope.
I haven't seen it.
So he's from my hometown, and he became real famous for having he wore like goth attire, but he was an exterminator. So he was anyway.
Weird.
It was a reality thing. It was really weird. But my brother, he built a house in my hometown. Billy Exterminator did. And while they were building it, my brother and some friends were like, "We're gonna go steal the copper out of this house," because he was a drug addict. Currently still is. And the plan was, if the cops come, everybody run in multiple directions because there's no way that they can get us all. The cops showed up The other 2 guys took off running, and my brother jumped into a bathtub. There were no walls in this house. That's how they were getting the copper, because all the copper wire, was exposed. And they just walked up and like shined the light in his face, and they're like, "Get out of the bathtub. You can't see me. My eyes are covered up."
Yeah.
It's just like,
No, I was here first, and they built the house around me.
that's what it was. No, I was here first. It was super silly. The same brother is in jail right now because apparently his baby mama is also a drug addict. And my brother's story is that he found the drugs in their house, did not want her to take them. So he was going to throw them away. But apparently she's so good at finding stuff that gets thrown away that he felt he needed to go to an empty parking lot down the road from their house to throw it away in that garbage truck. And then ended up falling asleep at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in his car because he was tired. He'd been up all night trying to save the world from drug addicts.
Yeah.
And so he decided to take a nap, and the cops came up and because someone reported that there was a man sleeping in his car in the middle of a church parking lot at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's how he got put in jail, because he had all the drug paraphernalia in his truck. And that's the story he told the cops too. Like, this isn't mine.
I have a friend that got busted drunk driving. He was like asleep in an apartment complex at the wheel, and the cops like come up and like knock on the window, and he just wakes up and goes, "Oh shit," and just drives off.
He just drove off.
Yeah, he's like, "Shit, the cops are here," and just started driving.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh man. Yeah, apparently they can bust you too. Like, I almost like, well, if you're like drunk and then you sleep in your car, they can still give you a ticket for drunk driving.
Really?
Or like a DUI or whatever.
I figured it'd just be like a public detox.
If the keys are in the vehicle, then you're
That's why whenever if you got to pull over and sleep it off, put the keys outside the vehicle.
Yeah.
Just drop them.
But honestly, like I get it. Like, how are you going to tell if the person was honestly trying to take a nap and sleep off that they're drunk, or how are you going to tell if they're just
they
passed
got
out?
to the parking lot some way.
Yeah. Or they could have like walked to the parking lot and be like, "You know what? I can't drive right now. I'm going to sleep in my car until I can."
I guess if the car
I
is
tried to
parked
do that
at
on a
the
park
bar.
bench one time.
I heard a story one time of it might have been on a movie or something, I don't remember, but somebody was drinking and driving. They got pulled over. They threw the keys out of the window and then made it very visible that they were drinking right then. So they couldn't prove that they were drunk before they were driving, or if they got drunk after they threw the keys out of the car.
That's not a true story.
Yeah, that's kind of sketchy.
That's called that's not a true story.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's how you get out of it. If you ever get busted, just do that, and there you go.
He's a professional. He's got more
Professional.
I am a professional at counseling.
Counseling, yeah.
telling lies.
So I can tell you all about none of this.
I was wondering where you're trying to go with that. Don't drink and drive.
No, you shouldn't.
Honestly, it's like literally one of the worst things I think you could do.
I agree 100%. And I mean that, like, I'm not even being sarcastic right now. Like, that's one of the things that I'm a big proponent for, is not drinking and driving or and I don't have no offense to anybody out there that's had this happen to you, but I don't have sympathy for anyone who's gotten DWIs.
Yeah.
I have zero sympathy. I also don't have sympathy for people like my brother who have 5 DUIs. Like, my biggest thing is, like, I have 5 kids. At any point,
I don't have any sympathy for you.
I'm sorry. I don't. Oh, for the kids?
Yeah.
That's fair. It just, I don't think that they don't understand the gravity. And obviously they don't understand the gravity because there's something psychological that is happening that is causing them to make that decision.
Well, dude, like, let's be real though. I mean, like, when I first started drinking, there were times whenever I shouldn't have been driving home.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? I think everybody makes that mistake. I wouldn't say that everybody. I think a lot of people make that mistake, and a lot of people learn from that mistake, and a lot of people continue making that mistake as well.
Yes.
So it's just a matter of like risk assessment. I think, like, understanding like this was a risky move and I should not have done that. I need to change my behavior next time. Figure out something different to do next time. I think that's what separates the people from the ones that have made that mistake, because honestly, like, I don't know a person that hasn't, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people that continue to fuck up is just that person that's like able to stop and say, whoa, I need to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, some people can't make that decision until something drastic happens. Like, they need a wake up call.
Also true.
Yeah, get into a car accident or something, and then it's time. Go to prison.
Ugh.
Yep, I don't know. I don't drink hardly ever, so I don't have that problem.
Yeah. Same.
I really don't. But anyways, can we wrap this damn episode up now?
Fine.
Have we talked enough about sports psychology? Are we sports psychologists
You asked
now?
me to be on here, so
You asked me to be on
What do you
here.
want from me?
He's like,
I'll give it to
you asked me to be on the show.
Don't put this on.
I
Who
didn't
told
wanna
you to be
share.
on this show? Who invited you?
No, I think we're
Um,
good.
I think
Yeah.
we are good. Thanks for coming on, man. It was fun, and it was a nice change of pace, because we've had, a lot of successful people on now, and so we wanted to make sure that we brought somebody,
We wanted people to remember we haven't forgotten where we came from.
the small people,
Right.
the little guys.
Yep. So, congratulations on your brown belt.
Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
getting married.
Thank you.
Congratulations on getting married.
Um,
Congratulations on finding a new job. Because after this comes out, you're probably going to need
yeah,
one.
and a new wife.
Yeah.
And I think that's about it. We need to plug the Patreon, because we need Ben subscribed to our Patreon. We need to
Ben.
shout him out. He's another one of my students. He's a blue belt, but he's
yeah.
been promising me for a while. So thank you, Ben. That's back.
We forgot about that one.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody said. Honestly, they're kind of annoying if I do it too much, so I'm just not gonna.
Everybody loved it in the beginning when the first couple episodes.
Right,
it
we
was a
gotta,
hit.
we've gotta like trickle them in there. We can't, dude. Imagine if we did 20 episodes with sound effects.
I know. And something else I was thinking about, because our last episode for the New Year's was probably the worst episode ever.
Yeah, we ended 2019 with a
Not
real
good
disappointing.
episode. Yeah.
Mhm.
Honestly, there were a few times where I thought Johnny had a personal vendetta against me during that episode.
I was angry. That was
but it had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And you were taking it out on me.
I really was.
Yes. I was like, at least 2 times in the episode, I was just like, what the fuck did I do?
I was in here just like brooding the whole episode.
Like every time I would go tell a story, he was just like, "Oh my god," and I'm like, "Fuck you."
I was already annoyed by that dog showing up, and then like at the perfect time, and then I had to go to the wedding,
Yeah.
and then get drunk, and I made it better though.
Yeah, it
Good.
worked out.
I erased it with alcohol, and now we're back to normal.
But
Alright.
the reason I brought it up was because we talked about the sound effects. I think one thing that we have to remember is that what we might find annoying, because we go, "Oh my god, we've done this bit 1,000 times," the fans might enjoy it.
That's true.
You know? Cannot forget that one.
The More You Know by John Cena.
I still like that one because I have the visual picture of the guy using it. He's blowing
Blowing
clarinets in his
2
nose.
recorders in his
Yeah, they're in
nose.
his nose when he's doing it. So that's what's,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of things that like I'll say, and people are like, "Dude, that was really funny." I was like, "Oh, that was like the dumbest thing that I've ever
it's
said."
happened to me multiple. Every episode that comes out, I have at least 2 or 3 people that quote something that we said or did.
Yeah, you guys are
Um,
fueling this. Just know this
Yep.
is all your fault. So subscribe to our Patreon for more.
Please, because we're working on getting some really cool stuff. One of the things that we're working on is getting a mobile podcast so that we can start taking the show on the road, because we still want to do the Crescent Hotel. We still want to do maybe some podcasts live from like some of the tournaments or something like
My
that.
backyard.
His backyard during a campfire session. We've already talked about.
So we
So
want to do a seance back there
Mhm.
and see all the scary things that are living back there.
So we've got some pretty cool ideas coming up to create a better environment for you guys.
Yes.
But we need your money to do it. So.
But I'll be releasing the Felipe Trovo interview at the same time as I'm releasing this one. That will be released on the Patreon. So we'll be able to start releasing episodes a little bit early for the Patreon members, and they'll get early access to some special interviews and episodes and stuff like that. Like I said, 2020, we're really going to be pushing the Patreon a lot more,
Mhm.
especially content for that. And then YouTube, we've got all of our videos streaming now on YouTube, or the ones since we've started streaming are now all on YouTube, and you can go subscribe there. Those get released kind of halfway through the day on Monday, sometimes Tuesday, because it'll take longer to upload. So be patient about that. And then you can find us on Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, Google Play, and most major streaming platforms. I can't think of any other. Spotify.
Go check out the Hammercast.
Go check
Scott
out the
Hammer.
And we'll share that link as soon as it gets
As soon as he drops
posted.
the episode, we'll definitely give it some love. So
yes, I really want, if you are a listener of the Rough and Tumble podcast, you need to go listen to the Hammercast. We want to swamp them with our listeners.
And go check out the band, the Rough and Tumble.
Yeah. Tell them that we love them.
Tell them that we love them. Tell them that we sent you. Tell them that they need to stop fronting. So
come on the show.
Come on the show. Get them on the show.
Full invitation and not sarcastic.
Not being sarcastic.
I don't want to talk shit with
guys.
you. I don't want to.
Nope.
I want to help you, and I want to understand what you do, and I want to understand your music and share that. So
artist to artist,
yes,
we definitely want to help any way that we can.
Artist to podcaster.
There we go. Artist to non-musician podcast.
Yeah. You got anything else? You got anything?
No, I want to go see this peacock.
Oh, you want to go check out the peacock?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see if we can get it over here.
All right.
call
I'll
it
get my
up.
peacock call out. All right. Till next time. See you guys later.
Bye, guys.